Hey everybody, welcome out to the Dice Tower. My name is Chris Yee, and today I'm going to be talking about my top 10 favorite expansions from 2022. This isn't the top 10 list I did during the Winter Spectacular. This is one, just a new one I wanted to do. We had plenty of top 10 lists for that particular week, so I wanted to do a new one. This is one that I'm happy to do because I like expansions. Sometimes I'm very hesitant to add an expansion into a game that I really enjoy already, but sometimes I'm very excited about it. You'll see a few different ones on here, some that kind of caught me by surprise, some ones that I was anticipating a lot, and they turned out to be really good. So, let's start off with my number 10 expansion, which is the Unmatched Marvel Redemption Row. Redemption Row, I think, is the stronger of the Marvel packs, and this is one of my favorite sets for Unmatched. Given I have not played as many as several of the other people in the office, I think Unmatched is a fun, skirmishy, tactical combat game. I really enjoy this particular pack, though, because I like the characters. Ghost Rider, Moon Knight, Luke Cage. They're all fun. They feel very different. Ghost Rider being my favorite of the bunch. I love being able to just ride his motorcycle around and whack people or, drive through them and stuff with that Hellfire tokens that you get. But Moon Knight with his different personalities. Luke Cage is he's just a tank. So I think this is a good pack. If you maybe already have some Unmatched and you're saying, oh, what one should I get? If you like these characters, I think it's really cool. I also like that the map introduces some small little things in there, like the terrain. You're coming at me? Well, I'm going to grab this mailbox and whack you in the face with it, just like in any real street fight that I've ever been involved in my life. So I love this one. This is a super fun pack, theming good, character and card play, great, Unmatched Redemption Row. My number 9, this one's a little bit of a caveat here. This is the promo pack of cards that you can buy for Rolling Realms. Rolling Realms is the little roll and write game from Stonemaier Games based on their other games, and it's fun. It's fun to play these little these 3 different cards you play with each round that represent a different board game, and you're playing a small little distilled version of that game. I like that Jamie Stegmaier has gotten with other publishers and made little promo cards. And by promo cards, they're really just little expansion sets. You buy a little blister pack of 6 cards that, for one for each player, of Honeybuzz or Feast for Odin or some of his other little games like Libertalian stuff. My favorite of these is the Feast for Odin promo pack, though. I think that one's fun. It adds a little Tetris-y mini game into a game that I think is really good. I like being able to mix and match which 3 mini games I'm playing in a particular round, and just having more cards to be able to mix into that makes Rolling Realms for me more fun. A game that I'm more excited to get back to the table more. So the game is so slight and small anyway that adding 1 extra card into the mix is an expansion. So for me, I really like the Feast for Odin little mini expansion pack for Rolling Realms. Number 8, Walk and Roll, the Korean Wave. The Korean Wave expansion is such a great little extra map that you can play with, or extra board, I should say. Walk and Roll is a fun little dice chucking game. You roll dice up to 3 times, you roll different ingredients, and then everybody at the table can check off recipes that use those. That's a good little formula. It's been done before, we've seen it. But the Korean Wave expansion takes a game that I think is good and makes it way better. First of all, the food is more personalized. Rather than completing a recipe that's like 2 shrimp, 1 broccoli, you're making actual different, you're making japchae, you're making tteokbokki, you're making these different recipes that I love. I grew up eating or are very close for me personally. So I love this expansion. It really elevates Walk and Roll from a good to, I think, a really great roll and write game. So that's my number 8, Walk and Roll, the Korean Wave expansion. Number 7, Paladins of the West Kingdom, the City of Crowns expansion, which as of the recording of this, for some reason we haven't reviewed on the channel yet, but it will come. This is one where Mike and I, for some reason, played it and have a false memory of having recorded a review for it. So our apologies. Surprise, I really like this one. This is a great expansion that takes a game that I love, Paladins of the West Kingdom, a very robust and full game, and makes me say, does it really need an expansion? I'm not sure, right? It already has such a good, delicate balance. The actions are interactive with each other in important ways. So if you throw 2 more actions in there and some more cards and stuff, isn't that going to mess with the balance? They found a way to make it not mess with the balance. They found a way to make them fun little extra tidbits to go chasing for as much as you want, and you can use them to great effect. or you can kind of just dabble in them when they're very profitable and at the right time. I think they're fun extra mechanisms, 2 little extra actions you can take, some more cards in the display that involve putting workers out onto them, and then players can take those cards and they get any workers that are on them. Fun ways to add a small smidgen more of interaction into Paladins, which I think is a great decision. So that's my number 7, Paladins of the West Kingdom, City of Crowns expansion. Number 6 is a 2nd edition expansion of Seaside for Dominion. Dominion is one of my all-time favorite games. The game that got me into the hobby. Seaside is a great expansion already, but this 2nd edition is so good that it makes me realize there were quite a few. There were several weak cards in that Seaside box, in that 1st edition box. They're all gone. A lot of the cards are the same, but they took out about 10 or 11 or so, and they put new ones in. And those new cards are all duration cards, if you know what that means, in the deck building game in Dominion. They're cards that have an effect when you play them, and they stay out for a whole nother round, and then they have another effect on your next turn. That was one of the great innovations that Seaside brought. This one leans into that more by making almost all of the new cards duration cards. Most of the cards they removed were not duration cards. I don't know if they took out a single one or not offhand, but there's more of that. There's more fun cards. Some of my favorite cards in Dominion might come from this 2nd edition set of Seaside. So an amazing expansion, well worth looking into. If you already own it, there might still be the upgrade packs available, and once those sell out, then you just have to buy the whole 2nd edition box. But I would absolutely recommend it. I really like it, so it's my number 6. Number 5, Viticulture World, another Stonemaier expansion. This is the one that takes viticulture, a game I love, one of my favorite worker placement games, and turns it into a cooperative game. I can like that so much, but it can also be done very poorly. I thought this one did it really well. It encourages a lot of cooperation. It makes it so that you are invested in working together, but also it's worker placement. If you go to a spot, you're kind of blocking it from the other person. And so there's ways that you have to upgrade the board so that multiple people can go there, multiple people can work together. It's so good. I really like it. I haven't played through all of the continents yet, all the different challenges, but they do ramp up and they have a different feel from one to the other. You want to introduce variable player powers? You got it. You want to have new tracks and new stuff to move up? You got it. There's a lot that this expansion offers. I really like it. Viticulture World, my number 5. Number 4, one that really surprised me is the QE Commodities expansion. I like QE a lot. It's one of my favorite auction games. It's terribly unique. It's so fun to be able to wager literally any amount of money that you want. You're not limited in how much you bid, but if you spend the most, then you're limited at the end of the game. Fun dynamic, kind of Reiner Knizia-ish almost. The QE Commodities expansion gives you a 2nd place bonus. Whoever wagered the 2nd most in an auction gets a commodity token, something that can be worth 4 or 5 points. Or maybe you can go for something that's more risky and it's a 0 to 10 points. Or maybe you're trying to get one that'll give you majority points at the end of the game. It's so fun. Those commodity tokens, great. I love it. But really, it's about the dynamic change that all of a sudden, there's a very viable way to win the game without winning too many of the main auction things. It adds just enough that it's going to change the meta of the game. It changes the way that you say, I don't think I'm going to be able to win this auction, so I'm going to functionally bow out. No, I don't think I'm going to win this. I'm not willing to spend into the quadrillions yet. But if I wager into the quadrillions but lower, I'll get a commodity token. There's so many good things to think about with this one. It's a game changer for me. I think it's that good. So my number 4, the QE Commodities expansion. Number 3, Crusaders, Thy Will Be Done, Divine Influence. This is an expansion I've been waiting for a long time. I love Crusaders, Thy Will Be Done, one of my favorite medium weight Euro game that plays quicker than it even seems like it should. The Divine Influence expansion doesn't lengthen the game. It does make things trickier. It makes setup a little bit trickier, but then it changes up one of the actions, the influence action, so that it is more interesting. It deals more with the map state. The game also gives you new buildings to build, and so in the original, when someone built a building in a hex, that was it. That space was pretty much done. But you can build addendum buildings onto your own or other players' buildings. So after someone's built up a spot, normally you'd say, that's it. well, I get a discount, actually, if I build one of these extra addendum buildings onto it, and I'm building up my engine. Such a satisfying engine build, such a satisfying way to increase the depth and the thinking about this game without making it much longer, which I really love, because that's one of its core competencies, that's one of its core strengths. A game that I wholeheartedly recommend that you go check out. An expansion I would recommend that you look into after you've played Crusaders that will be done several times and you really enjoy that game, because it's great out the box, it's really great with the expansion, but you don't need it right away. Enjoy the game for a while, savor it, and if you want to expand it, well, good news, this expansion finally came to print. Now, my number 2, Dune Imperium: The Rise of Ix. My goodness, what a great expansion. I wasn't sure if I was like, well, sure, I'll take some more stuff in Dune Imperium, probably some more cards or something like that. How about a new track that you can move up and technologies? I really like both of those things in expansion. I really like both those things in games in general. This track that you move up has that fun push-pull of every time you are awarded one of those symbols, you can move up the track. Or you can go back to the start and collect everything along the way. It's a track that only has 3 spaces, and yet it is so interesting. It is fantastic. It makes the board, it makes that chunk of the board infinitely more interesting than the base game. And I thought the base game was already really great. The technologies are a bit swingy, and there's a little bit of issue with them, but I love having technologies, being more unique from other players over the course of play. My goodness, I thought this was going to be my expansion of the year. But my number 1 favorite expansion is Dune Imperium: Immortality. Dune Imperium is a game that's really rising in my estimation, rising in the ranks. And it's because of these expansions. They're really good expansions that do not add too much. They add enough. Immortality, in particular, adds 2 more tracks to move along, and they're kind of intrinsically tied to each other. And the way that you utilize those tracks can give you some more victory points, some other ways to kind of lean into. That's a little bit of a compensation outside of the battles. But also, it can give you some cards. There's new cards added in a side deck that aren't just shuffled into the main deck. And it's not too complicated to get those. You're really invested. It's an alternate way to use your soldiers, to invest them to the side, and then get these really neat little cards, which have some fun mechanisms where you can merge 2 cards together and kind of combine their effects. This is so good. This displaced what I thought was going to be my favorite expansion of the year, and it's for the same game. So, Dune Imperium: Immortality, if I had to recommend one of the 2 to get first, I think I would still recommend this one, even though it's the second expansion. Both are so good. So 2022, a great year for Dune Imperium, and a really solid year for expansions, so I can wholeheartedly recommend these ones. So thank you so much for coming out and watching another one of my videos. Have fun, and thanks for watching the Dice Tower.